Hi everyone, my name is Lily. I'm a social worker with Child Welfare Services, Child Protective Services, Department of. Dang it, I never know what DCFS stands for, Department of Children and Family Services. There we go. So I made my channel to kind of just blow off some steam, share my knowledge, and just, try to reach people and teach them about CPS. So today I wanted to talk about what do we look at when we go, what does a social worker look at when we go check in on our foster kids to make sure they're safe? So, what are we checking in when we talk to kids that are in foster care? But also, what we do for kids that have gone back home to their parents? And actually, at my job in my county in California, we do pretty much check for the same things. So, of course, we have different concerns in a bio home versus a foster home, but we are looking for the same indicators. So, firstly, we have rules about the contacts we do with the kids. They have to be in person. During the pandemic, for some time, there was a waiver, but I only used the waiver once, and it was because the facility the kid was at was under quarantine, and I wasn't allowed to see her in person. But all my kiddos I saw in person. Even when one of them was, or one parent was positive for COVID, I just suited up, full spacesuit, and went to see them regardless. So, our visits to the home have to be, okay, more than 50% of the time in the home, because we do want to talk to the kids outside of the home. We want to give them the opportunity to talk about whatever they wouldn't be comfortable to discuss at home. So sometimes we do go to schools or meet them at their visit with the parents, or just, make plans to meet elsewhere, have them brought to the office, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be in their house. The other rule that we have for it is that some of these visits have to be unannounced. So we want to, schedule it for convenience, right? To make sure they're going to be there when we need them. But we also want to show up when they're not expecting us. We want to see what really is going on in the home. Does it, are they generally home when we expect them to be? Like, yes, unannounced means when they're not expecting, but I am expecting them to be there. I'm not going to show up at 10 a.m. to look for a school age kid. Obviously, they'll be at school. I wouldn't show up at unreasonable times unless there's a reason for it. Once we actually get there and are talking to these kiddos, we are looking at, is there food in the home? Is the home clean? Is there any safety hazards I can see, like broken windows, things, cables hanging out from walls, tripping hazards, for little kids, clutter on the floor when they're learning to crawl, stuff, the crib full of stuff, toys, blankets, stuff that's not safe for them. Yes, blankets are not safe for babies. It's a whole discussion for a whole other topic. Topic for a whole other day. I don't know. Okay. So we're looking for food. We're looking that they have their own space. So foster kids are supposed to have their own bed. We have to make sure there's appropriate bedding. And these are things that we're observing. We're not necessarily asking everything. We are looking at the interaction between the kids and the parents, the foster parents. We want to make sure that the kids appear to be comfortable. We're looking at their behavior, their mood. How are they acting? Once they get to my program where I work on the reunification with the parents, I see the same kids every month. So I get to know them. They get to know me a little. They get a little more comfortable. So I should be able to tell if something changes drastically. If a kid that never had a problem with the foster parent all of a sudden doesn't feel comfortable talking in front of them, I'll be concerned. So things of that nature. We're also looking at drugs, violence. This is the part that I'm saying We check the same things for with the bio parents and the foster parents. We need to make sure that there's no signs of drug use in the home, no random strangers in and out, asking who lives in the home, who's they're visiting often, is it somebody that's cleared or not. We don't want the kids being exposed to dangerous people. We ask about how their school is going, their health, medical appointments, their visits with the parents, any services that they might be in, like if they're going to therapy, if they have like developmental services, physical therapy, speech, extracurriculars, things they do for fun. Like we want to get to know them, and we want to know that they're being treated like any other kid would. That they have rules, they have consequences that are appropriate for their age. We go back and forth with doing body checks on kids. So kids that are old enough to talk, generally we don't do a body check unless they're telling me they do have a bruise. Then I'll ask them if they can show me, but I won't like get a kid naked. When the kids are not verbal, our current policy is if they're having contact with the person that was the perpetrator of the abuse, then we do a full check. Otherwise, we just do partial checks, just what the parts that we can see, their face, their hands, arms. Or if the parents okay with it, we'll observe a diaper change, part of it, make sure the parents knows what they're doing, and just visually see the parts that are exposed on the babies. But again, this changes. We used to do it on all the cases, then we went to not at all. So then, I think right now it's like the happy medium. Like if it's not a physical abuse case and there's no reason to suspect physical abuse, we're not putting the kids through it. But if there's any indication, whether the kid is having contact with somebody who's physically hurt them in the past, or they're making disclosures, or we have any reason to think that there might be any injuries, then we do ask. And it's always as much as possible with an adult present. Sometimes the kids are like, "Oh yeah, look," and then we can't do anything about having a parent present first. But yeah, we try to have it be with adult present. If it's at school, have the school nurse help us to do the check, and never get a child fully naked. We'll maybe lift the shirt and maybe the pants, if it's the leg they're complaining about or whatever it is, right? But not have them completely disrobed. So we'll also ask, we'll be talking to the kids, we'll be talking to the caregivers with the babies or younger toddlers that don't really speak, or that we're not able to have like a full conversation with. We are still doing our observations, and in those situations with the younger kids, we're looking more at the relationship and how, for me, the sign that I want to see is that if I come up to a kid that doesn't really know me, for them to go hide behind the foster parent, that's a good sign for me, because they're comfortable, that's where they go to for safety. That's a good sign. We also have a checklist that we use it's the infant checklist. So for infants, just making sure crib, bedding, supplies, diapers, formula, their well baby checks, just go make sure we're addressing all of those things and checking it off. So we're not like checking things off in front of the client, but it's to remind the worker that we need to address all of those things. We do talk to our foster parents about safe sleep. Like I said earlier, all kids have to have their own bed. This includes babies. Babies need to have their own crib or bassinet, depending on their age, and they have to sleep on their back with no extra blankets, or no blankets, no toys, no crib bumpers. That's what's been designated as the safest sleep. With bio parents and that conversation of co-sleeping, I don't know. My understanding is we recommend that they don't. We recommend they do safe back to sleep, I think is what it's called, where the baby goes on their back on a safe surface like the crib or the bassinet, and we help them get a playpen if they don't have a crib, so like a portable crib. For the kiddos, I think that's mostly it. We do want to know, what are their interests, what are the things they're good at. Ooh, one thing that I really like to ask the kiddos, so we have a few techniques that we use with them during investigations and like in planning for them to go back to their parents. So we have three houses. One is everything that you like about living at home with your parents, everything that scares you or worries you about living at home with your parents. And three is your wishes. If you had a magic wand and you could make whatever happen, what do you want? So we do those, and they can draw it or write it depending on their age, or they can tell you and you write it. So that's one. The other one is the safety house. And in the safety house, we, draw a house with a door and a path, and there's a stop sign outside. The roof is the rules, what makes this house safe. So the kids would tell you, oh, no hitting, no yelling, no drinking, whatever they see as this makes it safe. Then we ask them who can be in this home, inside the home with you, who can live with you in the safe home that you will feel safe with. Outside in the path is the people that are working towards, you can do it different ways, but I like to ask them who's working on coming to live with you, or that can come and visit and then leave, depending on how the kids are understanding it, right? And the stop sign is the people that you don't feel safe with that can't come to your home. So that's at the stop sign. I use that one when I'm working on a reunification case when the parents are trying to get the kids back. So I can see, are the kids naming their parents as somebody they feel safe with? And who is their not safe person? Just to kind of help us see where they're at and how they're feeling. Outside of these tools, I really like to ask kids, what's something that their parent needs to learn. I usually ask them, and they know their parents are in classes to help get them back. So their parents have to learn some things. And so I'll ask them, does your mommy or your daddy talk to you about what they're learning? What's different? What have you noticed that's different in them? Or what does your mom or dad still need to learn to be an even better parent? Because we don't want to tell them that their parents are not good. So that even better parent that they already are. It's usually to not to yell or not to get mad or be a better cook or cook stuff that doesn't come out of a box. I got that one recently. And depending if they're a little bit older, what's different? What have you noticed that your parent has learned? When your mom comes to visit you, if you notice she's doing A, B, or C better. I usually don't like to give the examples because I want to hear what they have to tell me. A lot of times it's just showing up. Before they didn't used to show up. Now they show up. That's a great difference for some of them. Once the kids are back with the parents, we all will also check in on how the parents are doing. Are they doing all the classes they still need to? If it's somebody that had a problem with substances and has gotten sober and gotten their kids back, what are they doing to remain sober? Are they doing any classes? Do they have a sponsor? Are they going to their support systems for help? Same for really for any type of abuse, we want to know, basically what's the relapse prevention? What are they doing to avoid going back to where they've been? And we're always checking on whatever classes or services, therapies that they've been doing. What's the progress? What's the update? So that's what we're looking at when we go check in with our kiddos. I'm sure I left out a bunch of things out, but it's what I could remember, and I just wanted to do hopefully a shorter little video with some information that's helpful. Okay, well, thank you for spending this time with me. Bye.